Okay, so I'm in Photoshop and I'm going to create a rollover, and this is kind of a two-part exercise as we need to create two graphics in Photoshop, and in Dreamweaver we're going to place one of those graphics onto a page and use JavaScript to create the rollover effect. So I'm going to start by going Photoshop, File, New. I'm going to create a simple image using 250 for width, 150 for height. Click OK. Now this is just an image, just a real simple graphic for this particular example. I'm going to use the rounded rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw out a rounded rectangle. And this one's just coming in with the last style that I used, which is an effect that I'm going to use for the on image. I often use layer effects for this kind of effect, and they're found just underneath this menu in the layers palette where you can use any of the settings. I'm going to turn off the effect, and this essentially will be the off image when I get to the page, and the next image with the effects turned on will be the on image when I put my mouse over top of it. So I'm going to save out the first graphic, so I'll go File, Save for Web, and this is a GIF, and good rule of thumb is look at the number of colors you recognize, and in this case 2 for white and black, and double that amount. So I'm going to go GIF 4 colors, and it should look pretty good. I'm going to hit save, and I need to find the folder I'm working with today, and I'm just going to call this file off.gif. I'll save that out. When I come back to Photoshop, I'm going to turn on the effects so I have at least something that looks different. Go to File, Save for Web. In this case, it's going to need to have a lot more. It's harder to tell exactly how many colors there are to make that shadow nice. So, as a GIF, I'll probably go diffusion for dithering, and color is probably something like 32. It looks pretty good. I'll hit save, and this will be on.gif. And that's pretty much it for Photoshop. You need to save at least 2 images. I'm going to hide Photoshop and jump over to Dreamweaver. So in Dreamweaver, I'm going to go File, New, and I'm just going to create a blank HTML page. Okay, I'm going to give it a title for rollovers, and it's best to save the file before you start putting images on the page. So I'll hit save. I'm going to save it into the same folder and call it rollovers.html. And it's pretty simple to create this effect. There's a number of different ways, so I'll just show the one method this time. I'm going to put my cursor on the page. I'll go up under the image area for the insert bar, and you'll find rollover image. I'll select that. I put in a name, and in this case I'll just say button. The original image, I click browse, and I'm going to go to the off.gif. That's when the user first comes to the page. And then rollover is when the mouse is over, and I'll say on.gif. Choose. Alt text is if the image does not load, so I'll just type in button. And when click go to URL, that would be if you're clicking to a different file or a different website, you'd put the address there. I'm just going to leave it blank because I'm really concerned with just the rollover effect. I'll click OK, and you'll see I get the image on the page. And if I go to code view, you'll see that there's a bunch of JavaScript here, and really all that the JavaScript is saying, and we're going to go in a kind of different order here. JavaScript is kind of linked to our HTML, so I'm going to start with the HTML. Body on load, and it uses the function to preload our images. And what is preloading is the on.gif. Just because when the page loads we don't see that GIF, but when we put our mouse over top of it we want it to switch quickly and not trigger a download at that time and wait for the next image. So on load, preload images, says use this part of JavaScript, and it's basically just saying load that image while the page is loading. Then we go down here. The anchor is what's the trigger for this effect, and you'll see that we have on mouse out and on mouse over. So there's swap image and swap image restore. So they're just calling up here, there's swap image restore, which means put it back to the original image. And there's a function here for swap image, which means change the image. And that's pretty much it for the effect. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do a preview in Firefox. I'll save it. And here in Firefox, now when I put my mouse over top of that image, you'll see that it changes, and that's the rollover effect.